My first time. This is my first time you done?
Yeah, that's right.
My first time here, and it's been wonderful. I'm glad to see that the sisters are on. I always judge a camp or school by the way the sisters conduct themselves. If I see if they ain't crazy, I know the brothers ain't doing their job. Sisters, I'm gonna give y'all a break today. I do want to talk. By the end of the class, I'm gonna talk about the sisters. But mainly, I'm gonna talk about the brothers. So they gonna get a chuckle about you men. Got a lot of things I want to talk about. There's a lot of hate going on, a lot of hate. But find me that scripture where Christ said, if they said this about me, they shall do that to you. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Somebody help me. It's not on my list of things to go over, but it just popped into my head.
John 15, verse 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you.
Now give me Matthew 10 and 25.
Matthew 10, 25.
Start at 24.
24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord.
So that's the first thing we all need to comprehend and understand. We are not above the Lord, right?
It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master.
The word disciple means student. It is enough for the student to be as his master. Remember, the master is Christ.
And the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub.
The word Beelzebub means Lord of the Flies. The devil. They were calling Christ the devil, Lord of the Flies, Lord of all uncleanness. Right?
How much more shall they call them of his household?
How much more shall they call them of his household? So, in the news, I'm going to talk about the news first and foremost. In the news, and the news, and the news. Some cops have killed unarmed black men. Our people revolt because, why do black people get mad when white cops shoot black men? Yes, that.
They see Jesus. They say Jesus killed them.
Right, because they see Jesus. They believe that the white man, who is he is our savior, our comforter. He is not supposed to shoot us. So our people really lose their minds when they see these things happen. Now, recently, this is nothing new with cops shooting innocent black. It is not new. It's just new on the media. Okay. Black men kill black men every day. Is that correct? Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, right.
And I mean, not one or two. I mean, when you check out the stats for the year, especially Chicago, Detroit, even New York, California, it's astronomical. But nobody want to talk about that. So I don't want to say, but I don't want to say all black men don't stand up. There's a group called Detroit 300. Y'all heard of them? The Detroit 300?
Yes, sir.
In Detroit, they're trying to end black on black crime. And of course, who did they find? They found black women to sue them and try to dismantle the organization. I just thought that was so odd. And I don't believe it was a coincidence either. Black Lives Matter is all in the news. Y'all know that Black Lives Matter is not just black people. It consists of a large integration of the what do they call it? LGBT, thus guarantees a booty tragedy, them groups. All up in there. They all in there. They mobilize from crime scene to crime scene when black men are killed. And you would have thought that this is almost impossible. How are they traveling like that, getting from place to place? When you go to many of these scenes, it begins with white LGBTers. LGBTers, is that a word? I just made a copyright there. LGBTers, they're there with signs, and they wait till the black, black people are always late. So black people finally get there, and then they give them the signs, and then they walk off and mingle into the back. That's what happens. So Esau's behind this. I want to show you an article. Also, they don't just go to crime scenes now. They go to Republican conventions and Democratic convention, the RNC and the DNC conventions, and disrupt those meetings. I want to start off with an article regarding the Open Society Foundation. Well, it reveals the #1 name behind Black Lives Matter. Let's scroll down. Okay. During Monday's program, a caller to conservative talk radio king Rush Limbaugh's show had some rather pertinent questions regarding the Black Lives Matter movement that has been organizing rallies and protest marches in cities across the country. To wit, the caller wanted to know who was paying for all these marches and rallies. And these sorts of things don't generally spring up in an organized fashion from the grassroots of the community, but generally require some guidance and preparation. Limbaugh wasted no time informing the caller that the largest benefactor of Black Lives Matters, George Soros. George Soros. It continues. Well, he's very extreme, angry, and mean-spirited liberal. Operative word, he's a mean-spirited liberal who's doing his best to destroy capitalism wherever it is in the world, Limbaugh continued. And of course, since we are the greatest, largest capitalist outpost, wants to collapse the country exactly right. So he's saying George Soros' plan is to disrupt the country, collapse it. Don't ask me why, he explained. My ability to understand these people in that sense, I've never understood why people want to tear down the greatest economic engine that has ever been, that enables everything they believe. It enables all their welfare benefits. It enables all their whatever. I've never understood why they want to tear it down, but they do. In George Soros, the amount of money, I was stunned last week. I've learned George Soros has given these people $33 million in the last 3 or 4 years. $33 million, Rush added. Pen that. Actually, Limbaugh was referring to a January 2015 article in the Washington Times that revealed that the $33 million figure was actually what was spent in 1 year through the Open Society Foundation Soros created. So George Soros, he funnels his money through the Open Society Foundation and gives it to Black Lives Matter. That's how he does it. Furthermore, that figure was at least a couple of years old, and there's no telling how much more Soros has poured into the disruptive and sometimes unlawful anti-police movement that has caused so much strife and division in our country. Though $33 million may not sound like much in an era with nearly $20 trillion in national debt and routine congressional arguments over $1 billion spent here, $5 billion over there, it was nevertheless quite a bit of cash for the people on the receiving end of Soros' magnanimous beneficence. Talking about Black Lives Matter. Limbaugh alluded to as much just a moment later in the segment when he asked, how much does it cost to organize a bunch of malcontents to show up and stand around somewhere with signs and so forth? Was that it? Oh no, it continues. That is an excellent question, but sadly one to which we may never know the true answer. Please share this on Facebook, Twitter to help blah, 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 blah. So what do you think about George Soros funding Black Lives Matter movement? Scroll down and comment there. So now, regarding, can you Google George Soros under images? So y'all know who he is. Now there were many articles on this. It came to my surprise. We went to DC last week. The brothers was showing it to us. Yes, that's him right there. That is him. That is George Soros. So the way he does it, he opens up various foundations and uses the foundation to funnel the money to certain groups. And it's always groups that are against the government. So when I began to research George Soros and his monies that he attributed to the Black Lives Movement, he has purchased through what was it called? The Open Forum Society. He has bought several homes for the black heads at the top. He's bought homes for them. He's giving them annual salary of $165,000. How many black people make that much money? Unless you're in entertainment, ball player, something like that. $165,000. So, there's an old expression, it says, whoever pays the piper, who knows the rest? Whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Who know what does that expression mean? Anybody know what that expression means? Daggone. Yes.
It means whoever is paying. A newer slogan is, you pay the cost to be the boss. Whoever funds the money, they call the shots.
Exactly. Exactly. In the political realm, they call them lobbyists. Same thing, though. So, as a result, allegedly, so you got to notice this. Young black man gets shot down in the street. Black Lives Matter moves in, causes disruption. RNC convention, Black Lives Matter moves in, causes disruption. DNC, congressional, whatever comes in. Black Lives Matter goes there, disrupts that. And I remember saying, I was talking to the wife, that in years past, you never saw that, where they had their little RNC meetings, DNC. You didn't bust in there and run your mouth and try to take the mic and all that, but for some reason, this new group has been doing that. Now I understand what's going on in society with this guy, George Soros. Yes, Lava.
Yeah, you know that the George Soros guy is a billionaire. That have a lot of billion. But you notice that while he gathered the blacks to do, to destroy the government, whatever that he hired them to do, is for them to put more laws in the black community, tie us more. You understand? Soon as we start to react, now white folks, the government gonna put more laws in our community. Him with the government is the same. You understand? He the one who create things so for the government to pass laws. You understand? They're both of them the same.
There's a movie just popped into my head. Remember Silence of the Lambs? But not that one. It was the next one about Hannibal. Yeah. Anybody saw that? Yeah. Where there was a rich guy in a wheelchair and he was paying people to do certain things with cause and effect. You know what I'm talking about, y'all? Yeah. If y'all get a chance, just check it out. Just check it out. So
yeah, Jay-Z make a video when he
nobody can hear you loud.
I think the gentleman name, I think Jay-Z made a video where he was acting like he was that man. But that man you're talking about, he was behind everything. Mm-hmm. While he was in the mix of it, people didn't believe that was him. Right. Because he was crippled. People didn't believe it.
So you gotta check out the chain of events. Young black man gets killed, Black Lives Matter moves in, disruption, yeah. Boom. As a result of all of Black Lives Matter, now things have taken a life of its own. Allegedly now, Micah Xavier Jones allegedly killed 5 Dallas police on July 7th. Then allegedly, Gavin Long, another black man, killed 3 cops in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on July 17th. Can you get me? They said George Soros was a liberal. The Bible talks about these liberals that claim that they love black people and want to help black people. Believe me, when he had people approach the Black Lives Matter movement and offered them, what did it say, $33 million? They didn't turn that down. You're gonna give me an annual salary out of that of $165,000, and I worked at McDonald's all my life? Well, I'm on it. That's how people, not all of our people, but some of our people think. You got it?
The book of Isaiah, chapter 32 and verse 5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal.
Y'all see that?
The vile person shall be no more called liberal.
Shall no more be called liberal. The Bible's calling the liberal vile, evil, wicked. Go ahead.
Nor the churl said to be bountiful.
The word churl means rude. The rude said to be bountiful because these rich people are the rude people. They've stolen everything they got and they're considered to be bountiful. Go ahead.
For the vile person will speak villainy.
You see that? The vile person, read again.
For the vile person will speak villainy.
The vile person will speak villainy, evil. So on one hand, he appears to be liberal, saying he loves black people, wants to help black people, but there's a chain of events that he's setting in motion with his monies. Okay? Our people are too short-sighted to see the end of what's being done. Meaning, if you cause disruption in the city, what happens after that? Like they just said, after the Baton Rouge thing, they said it is necessary to militarize local police. Arm them with armor, not just the chest plate armor, but body armor. Arm them with tanks, like we saw during the time of Ferguson. They said, you got to do more of that stuff. So this is chain of cause and effect. You know?
And his heart will work iniquity.
You see that? And his heart, meaning his mind, will work iniquity. And like I said, our people are too short-sighted to see the end of the rainbow. We see the money, and that's all we see. We don't see what's going to happen at the end. Go ahead. Oh, for another thing, remember in Manhattan, Wall Street, what was that called? The 1%, what was that called? It was a big thing. Occupy Wall Street. How could I forget that? I was up in that thing. I had to do security for that thing. I couldn't stand that thing. But anyway, Deacon Lob and Deacon Athan were teaching, and Occupy Wall Street, these people came by the camp and said, you Israelites should join us. So Deacon Athan said, and do what? She said, fight against the government. He said, how? She said, if necessary, get guns. So Deacon Athan said, so if we run out of bullets, where are we going to get the bullets from? We got to go to the same man we shooting at to get some bullets. So she goes, oh man, you just don't understand. And she walked off. But their plan is to get black people, and she thought we were stupid. That's what she thought. She was hoping this group of what they call our people malcontents, that we are that stupid and can't see past our nose. So Deacon Athan saw it a mile away, as did you.
Yep.
So they walked off angry. Now they're trying to pit Black Lives Matter against us. It's going to be a losing battle. Because they're fighting against the Lord. What verse you at?
Verse 6.
Go ahead.
For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy.
See that? Is the vile person will speak villainy, his heart will work iniquity. That's what's being done now. They're working iniquity to practice hypocrisy. The hypocrisy that they're practicing, in one hand they say they love black people, they're liberal towards our oppressive state, but meanwhile back at the ranch, they are causing a chain of events that will get us shot down, killed, or incarcerated at a greater level. That's what they're doing. Read.
And to utter error against the Lord.
And they're uttering error against the Lord. Read.
To make empty the soul of the hungry.
We're the hungry. We're hungry. Why are we hungry? Because all the promises in the Bible belong to us, but we have received nothing as of yet. So it says to make empty the soul of the hungry. Right?
And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail.
Our people are thirsty for righteousness. Our people are thirsty for wanting to reign in this world, and we are left thirsty. Read.
The instruments also of the churl are evil.
Now the instruments also of the churl or root are evil. Their instruments is politics, religion. Their instruments, money. This is what they use. Okay, these are their instruments, for example. Go ahead.
He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words.
You see now Isaiah is explaining all that he said in the previous verse. He says he devises wicked devices to destroy the poor. That's meaning poor in spirit, with lying words. You know what?
He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right.
Even when we speak right. Come on.
But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand.
So, from there, give me John 11. I just want to show you what's going on with Black Lives Matter, just as with the churches. John 11, verse 47 and 48.
The book of John, chapter 11, verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council, and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Y'all see that? And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So that's not just, we always use it for the churches, but not just them. Look at Black Lives Matter movement. They've been given $30 million. You think they would have given that up? Hell no. $30 million? opposed to going back to sweeping the floors or working at McDonald's. Their mindset, 33 million, thank you. Their mindset is to keep their place, okay? They don't want to lose that. So keep that in mind. So there's an agenda behind it all. There's conspiracies. Now, I know I'm not a big conspiracy buff, but there are some that the Lord is revealing to us slowly but surely. Okay? Give me Hosea, the book of Hosea, through the darkness, things that are occurring. Give me Hosea 5:15.
Hosea chapter 5 verse 15.
And we read this quite often, but we are going to start seeing it in full effect.
I will go and return to my place.
That's what the Lord said. Come on.
Till they acknowledge their offense.
So we as a race acknowledge our offense. Read.
And seek my face.
Seek his face means we got to learn this Bible the way Israel teaches the Bible. Real Israel. Go ahead.
In their affliction.
See that? In their affliction.
They will seek me early.
They will seek me early. That's why, I do want, if the Lord's will, I don't know though. I know you said otherwise, but I would hope your friend Donald Trump wins, because he's mentally unstable.
Yes, he is.
And I can tell he really hates black people. He'll get it on and pop it. He'll press the button with Putin. He said, "What did you say?" Press the button. He's that mentality, and we'll be going home sooner than we thought. So, not that some mistake it come out of edit this. Go see he votes. No, don't vote. Don't vote for him. We're gonna touch on that too. But I look at the candidate and I said, okay, this Hillary he calls her wicked Hillary, wicked Hillary. He's wicked too. He just as wicked. His wife's stealing all of the speeches from Michelle Obama.
Right.
Plagiarism. Give me 2 Thessalonians 2:8. So, our people, I was on a radio show this week. He said, what will it take for our people to be delivered? I said, well, repentance is the main thing. So he said, well, how can our people repent? I said, there's two things they need. They need a boot up their rear end, and they need the scriptures. I said, that's the only thing. I said, I read Hosea 5:15. I said, this proves the affliction is real. It's going to come. I said, we ain't really been afflicted yet. Not recently. You get one or two, pow, we get shot dead. But watch, it's going to escalate. There's a new article, it's in the news, I forgot the brother's name. He worked at a mental health facility. Y'all know what I'm talking about? In Miami? Yeah, and one of his patients, or one he was caring for, ran out. He runs out behind him. Somebody calls and says, one of those people got a gun. So the cops come. He tells the boy, sit down. The boy's he's a big kid, but he's really big. He says, sit down on the floor. The boy got a trunk in his hand. He's playing with it. The brother, Jake, lays on his back with his hands up. He says, everything's going to be okay now. The cops say, he says, he don't have a gun. He says, look, it's a toy in his hand. Cop comes and shoots the Jake who's laying there. Pow! He goes, oh, you shot me! You can find that for me? You know what I'm talking about? You know the brother's name? Anybody know his name? Kinsler? Kinsley. K-I-N-S-L-E-Y? Kinsley got shot. Something like that. Type that in on YouTube.
Yeah, he was a Down syndrome counselor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The brother, after he got shot, he asked the police officer, why'd you shoot me?
Right.
And the cop said, I don't know.
I don't know.
Now, on just one station, a cell phone recording a confrontation with cops. One man seen with his hands up.
I'm asking the officer, I said, sir, please don't shoot me. Please do not shoot me just like that.
And he couldn't believe what happened next.
When he hit me, I'm like, I still got my hands in the air. I said, I just got shot.
Tonight, police under fire.
Well, despite having his arms in the air, the victim was still shot by officers.
He says his nightmare did not end there. 7's Brian Enton is live with this exclusive from North Miami Police, where some are demanding answers this evening. Brian?
Belkis, not only does this man say he was shot while he was just doing his job, helping his autistic patient, but he says after police mistakenly shot him, They left him on the ground bleeding and handcuffed him. This is Charles Kinsey laying in the middle of the road with his hands in the air. North Miami police have rifles pointed at him. Listen as he tries to tell them he's a therapist, just trying to help a confused autistic man who ran away from a group home. Charles remembers the moments before he got shot.
I'm going to the ground just like this here with my hands up. And I'm laying down here just like this. And I'm telling him again, sir, it's no need for a firearm. I'm unarmed. He's an artistic guy. He had a toy truck in his hand.
He pleads with officers to back down and also tries to calm down his patient. This goes on for minutes, and then Charles says out of nowhere, a North Miami police officer shoots him.
I'm like this right here. And when he shot me, it was so surprising. It was like a mosquito bite. And when he hit me, I'm like, I still got my hands in the air. I say, no, I just got shot. And I'm standing there, I'm like, sir, why did you shoot me? And his words to me, he said, I don't know.
North Miami police say it all started when someone called 911 and said there was a man walking around with a gun threatening suicide Monday. But Charles says the gun was a toy truck. The man was the autistic patient.
I was really more worried about him than myself, because I'm looking at, as long as I got my hands up, they're not going to shoot me. This is what I'm thinking. They're not going to shoot me. Wow, was I wrong?
Charles says what police did after he was shot is what upsets him the most.
I think they got like 1, 2, 3 sets of handcuffs. They cuff my hands and they flip me over, and I'm laying on the concrete like this right here. I'm bleeding.
Day in and day out, Charles works helping the disabled. He just wants to know why the officer fired.
So grateful that he's alive and he's able to tell his story.
Every time I close my eyes, you know, it's just like I'm just seeing flashbacks.
So take a live look right now. This group outside the North Miami Police Department, this is the Circle of Brotherhood. They are an organization, and they say they want police to answer questions about why this happened, and they want to know whether this officer will be charged. North Miami Police have not released much information at all. They are not releasing the officer's name. They are not giving us an update on their investigation, but they did say that the state attorney is now a part of this investigation. Live in North Miami.
He said, why did you shoot me? I said, I don't know. I'm the devil. That would have sufficed. But our people need to learn that the white man is the devil, the Bible speaks of. Y'all don't want to hear that. I know some of y'all here don't want to hear that. But watch what the Bible says here in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
And then shall that wicked be revealed. The only way to reveal the wicked is number one, through the spirit of God's mouth. That's the Bible. Number two, you need to show evidence of what this man has done and is doing in the earth. That's how the only way the wicked is going to be revealed. He's not going to be revealed just by you saying verbally the white man's the devil. Although we like that slogan that makes our teeth white. That's not what's going to reveal him. What's going to reveal him, because Farrakhan says it all the time. You got Kemetic community called him the devil. They're not revealing him, though, as the wicked. Only the Bible can reveal him as the wicked. Can you show me the precept for that real quick? We're coming back to Thessalonians. Give me Malachi 1 and 4. And then shall that wicked be revealed. You know, listen to Christians break down 2 Thessalonians about the wicked. And they say, oh, that's a man that has 3 6s in his head. I'm like, no, you morons. Leave the Bible alone. Here it is.
Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith.
Whereas Edom, you want to stress that, Edom. That's their biblical racial name, God.
Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
They were impoverished during the Dark Ages. They returned during the Renaissance era of 1453 on up, right?
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build.
They shall build, which was from the Renaissance on till today.
But I I will throw
The
down.
prophecy is that God will throw down. That's how you know God's a black man. So I'm going to throw down. Come on.
And they shall call them
And they shall call Edom
the border of
the
wickedness.
border of wickedness. Watch this.
And the
You
people,
want to stress that word, the people. Because Christian apologetics like to say, no. See, God only hated Esau, the individual. No, oh, dumb one. It says the people, that's plural, meaning all of them. Go ahead.
against whom the Lord hath indignation forever.
God hates them forever. Forever, forever. It's them, the people. So when you go back to Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians 2
Verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed.
You got to reveal the wicked. The wicked is Edom. The cops that are shooting us is Edom. The liberal that's funding Black Lives Matter is Edom. They are the wicked. Go ahead.
Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
He consumes them with the spirit of his mouth through you brothers teaching the Bible. The sisters teaching the scriptures to their kids. That's how he's being consumed with the spirit of God's mouth. We need some shirts saying the white man is Edom. Yeah.
Let me say something real quick. Alright, we just witnessed a video of a brother getting shot with his hands up, right? Now, what was the name of that group in that video at the end? It's called a circle of what?
Brotherhood.
Alright, you brothers gotta be sharp with your minds in your eye. What shirt did they have on? Somebody stand up. You stand up. Those.
They had a darker skinned brother, lighter skinned than a so-called, looks like a
So-called white
Edomite.
man. They had Esau, they had a brown Hispanic, that's what they call them, brown people, and they had a black man at the end. So what brotherhood is that? The brotherhood, according to the Bible, is our people.
Right.
So even in the midst of all this affliction, they still worshiping the white man. They had on the shirt, the white man, the Hispanic man, and the black man. They called it Circle of Brotherhood. And that's the same man that's shooting them with their hands up. Madness.
That's why we gotta let our people. It's not going to end. God says in our affliction, we will seek him early. The affliction is going to continue. Find me the precept where it says Jacob's trouble. Who knows what that is? Jeremiah or Isaiah, somewhere. It is a time of Jacob's trouble. Read that again, Captain Isaac. I'm sorry.
Second Thessalonians chapter 2 and 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed.
So the wicked is not one guy running around the earth with 3 sixes in his head. Stop the Christian madness. The wicked is Edom, the race called Edom. Go ahead.
Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
He's being consumed by us teaching. Thank you.
And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
And the Lord's going to destroy them with the brightness of his coming. So we ain't going to lift up a finger against Edom. God's going to destroy them. Give me Jeremiah 30:7. Thank you.
Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble.
This is talking about the second coming of Christ, World War III. As the war builds and begins, it is a time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and while those things are taking place, our people are going to be getting afflicted here. Okay, so that there'll be no excuse for them not to know that the white man is Esau, the children of Edom, the wicked, the Bible speaks of. Read that again.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
You see that? But we shall be saved out of it. The Bible prophesies 1/3 of our people shall be saved out of it. Give me Job 36. Affliction is necessary. This is what I told a radio host. Affliction is necessary for our people. We don't want to hear that. We really, and some people will interpret me saying that as, oh, you hate your people. Oh no, au contraire, mon frère. I love my people, but I understand what the Bible says will get us to repent. Watch this. Verse 6. Job 36, verse 15. I'm sorry. Job 36, verse 15.
Job 36, verse 15. He delivereth the poor in his affliction.
He delivereth the poor in his affliction. Right?
And openeth the ears in oppression.
And openeth their ears in oppression. And openeth their ears in oppression. Let's explain that. When our people are living well, living wealthy, we often don't want to hear nothing God has to say. But in the midst of our oppression, in the midst of our affliction, the first one we call on is, Lord God, Jesus, help me. And it's the truth for all of our people. Everybody understand that? That's the only time when the Most High gets his word through to our people. We have brothers amongst us who have heard the truth and rejected it. But the moment they lost their job, home, wife, or kid, then they said, you know what, I'm ready to hear that Israelite thing now. I got arrested. Let me hear that Israelite thing now. This is the truth for some of our people, many of our people, men and women. Read it again.
He delivereth the poor in his affliction.
Remember, it's the poor in spirit it's making reference to. He delivereth the poor in his affliction, right?
And openeth their ears in oppression.
And openeth their ears in oppression. That's when our people can hear what the Bible is saying. They can relate to what the Bible is speaking of when they're oppressed. Okay? So when these things happen, we got to be on the front line. Okay? We should be there. Unless it's a setup. That's why my brothers was going to the Dallas one. It was Dallas. Brothers was mobilizing there. Then they said on the news, they said they're shutting down the area. They are going to question everyone in the area, the whole, like a 5 or 6 block radius, I forgot. So brothers, pull back. Don't go there. The whole thing is to identify everybody, who's who, what group you belong to, blah, blah, blah. Esau's very crafty and cunning with their ways of doing things. Now, how many of you saw in the news Donald Trump spoke about something, and it's hard to find an article or a report on it, but I just happened to wake up, me and the wife was talking, I was awake, and it came on CNN, because I would generally fall asleep with CNN and wake up with that. So he's talking about 501c3s. So I said, this is a no-no for him to be talking about, but he spoke on it. And I'm searching the internet. I said, I heard it, I know I ain't going crazy. Give me the next article. Trump exposes government-controlled churches. Trump, 501c3 status of churches infringes on their freedom of speech. Now, some of you right now might be thinking, hey, you guys got a 501c3. Yeah, we do got a 501c3. I'm going to remind me to talk about dumb Israelite groups, too. Let's see this video.
Richard Reeves with Infowars.com. We are in Janesville, Wisconsin, where we just had a big Donald Trump event wrap up a short time ago. As many of you have already seen, we had a lot of videos uploaded with protesters. We had tons of protesters at the event, but we had even more people try to attend the event that could not even get in. There were literally thousands of people in the crowd that could not get into the event, that were totally pro-Trump. They outnumbered the anti-Trump forces overwhelmingly. Nonetheless, I'm sure you saw a lot of the leftists. If not, make sure and go to the Alex Jones channel and tune in to those videos, and we will be uploading even more videos in a short time. So check again, Alex Jones channel. Now, 3 key things that Trump said in his speech today that I had not heard or seen before. Number 1 is Trump addressed 501c3, the tax-exempt status that churches have to adhere to, which violates their First Amendment. Donald Trump said he would like to see the First Amendment restored in this country's churches.
I probably had 50 of the ministers and pastors, different folks, came up to my office, and they're really under tremendous pressure because they don't want to have their tax-exempt status taken away. This happened during the Lyndon Johnson presidency. And I said, why is it that you folks are pushed around so much? Christianity. These are the pastors. And these are strong people. These are really strong people. Why do you allow them? Why aren't you more forceful? And finally somebody said, well, we have to be a little careful of our tax-exempt status. I said, when did that happen, actually? It was during the Johnson. Well, we're going to try getting rid of that, okay? Because that's really terrible. We're going to try getting rid of it. And I've said that to a lot of evangelicals, a lot of great Christians. We're going to try getting rid of it because it sort of means that somebody walking down the street has more power than somebody of religion, of our religion, of Christianity, somebody that's an evangelical. You take anybody, they have more power because these people are powerless. They've actually taken their right of free speech away.
That's right.
So I said, we're going to try and get rid of that, and I think we'll be very, very successful. You know, it's interesting. I said, how many Christians are there? Because, you know, we got men, we got women. You cut it in half, we actually have a few more women, but we have far more Christians than we have men or women. So in a way, it's the most powerful lobby. It's the biggest group of people. But we're not allowed, they're not allowed to talk because they're petrified. You saw what was happening with the IRS and you saw what was taking place with regard to certain groups. So we are going to try, and usually when I say try, that means I'm going to get it done. And we are going to try very hard. We're going to get that brought back. And I think it's going to be very hard to counter it because if the Christians and if the whole evangelical Christian sector gets together, nobody can be. You know, when
in this humble reporter's opinion, I think that is a huge step because part of what happened in this country is churches not being allowed to voice their First Amendment has basically squelched and constricted their ability to keep control of our government under the Constitution. So it's good to hear Donald Trump taking on that issue. I personally have been waiting for it a long time, as I'm sure you viewers have been waiting for a long time to hear that. So hopefully we'll hear a lot more of that, especially in the mainstream media.
March 29th rally in Janesville, Wisconsin, Donald Trump outlined several ideas. One of which was to do away with 501c3 status of churches, which he says contributed to the pulpit being silenced, notice this, in the political world, which is an infringement upon free speech. That's your First Amendment right, freedom of speech. Now, let me talk, give me the next article. I'm going to explain that. Don't listen to black people that call themselves Israelites. That might sound funny to you. Black people who go on YouTube and talk about 501c3s generally are stupid and don't know what they're talking about. This is the limitation on any 501c3. Limits on political campaigning for 501c3 nonprofit and nonprofits. Scroll up so I can see. Okay. In order to maintain tax-exempt status, 501c3 nonprofit organizations cannot engage in political campaigning. Nonprofits with 501c3 tax exempt status should be ever vigilant about this prohibition. A violation could result in severe consequences. The federal tax law is very strict on the issue of political campaigning. Political campaigning. A 501c3 organization is absolutely forbidden to directly or indirectly participate in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for elective public office. Violation of this prohibition could lead the IRS to completely revoke your organization's tax exempt status or impose excise taxes on your organization. In other words, the IRS is serious about this issue, and your board of directors and officers should be equally serious in making sure that your organization complies with federal law in this area. This is what Lyndon B. Johnson established, okay? What does participating in a political campaign mean? Organizations with 501c3 status cannot participate in political campaigns. What is a political campaign? In general, the IRS rule refers to campaigns between people who are running for office in public elections. These can include candidates running for President of the United States, candidates running for governor, candidates running for mayor, and also candidates for lower elected offices such as school board officials, city supervisors, and county trustees. What is participating? Your organization cannot participate in a campaign directly or indirectly on behalf of or in opposition to a candidate. If your organization takes a stand in any campaign supporting or opposing one or another candidate, this violates the prohibition. The IRS rule. The IRS uses what is called a facts and circumstances test to help it determine whether an organization has violated the prohibition on political campaigning. This means that the IRS will evaluate any potential misconduct within the context of the organization's other activities and the current political climate. So any activity might be considered political campaigning 2 weeks before an election, but not 2 years before an election. Some activities that the IRS has found to violate the prohibition of political campaigning include inviting a political candidate to make a campaign speech at any event hosted by the organization. Number 2, using the organization's funds to publish materials that support or oppose a candidate. Number 3, donating money from the organization to a political candidate. Number 4, any statements by the organization's executive director in his or her official capacity that support a candidate. Next is criticizing or supporting a candidate on the organization's website. Inviting one candidate to speak at a well-publicized and well-attended event and inviting the other candidate to speak at a lesser function. Inviting all candidates to speak at an event, but arranging the speaking event or choosing the questions in such a way that it's obvious that the organization favors one candidate over the other. Conducting a get out the vote telephone drive in a partisan manner by selecting caller responses to further follow up based on candidate preference, and using the organization's website to link to only one candidate's profile. Okay, so it goes on and on. Brothers, do we get involved in this stuff? No. No. Can you give me that in Deuteronomy 17:15? As Israel, we're waiting for a new kingdom. So when you hear these dumb Israelites say, "Ooh, you got a 501c3, you made a contract with the devil, you can't say certain things." The dumb Negroes never tell you what those certain things are. It's political campaigning. Can you read the verse for us?
Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
So that's the scriptural evidence of why we don't get involved in their political arena. Everybody see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you get these dumb, I just gotta stress these Israelites are dumb. And the leaders of these groups are, they know their followers or the people in the congregation are dumb as how they don't do no research. They said, yeah, IUIC got a 501c3 and they can't say certain things. And one brother goes, what can't they say? What does it mean they can't get involved? He said, it means they can't say Yahweh. So we do a video and we go, Yahweh, 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 Hashem, Yahweh, Shai. Then they go, hey, they said Yahweh, you just told us they can't say Yahweh. Well, it means they can't say Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shai, HaMashiach, Yahweh, Shai. We do a video, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shai, Yahweh, Mashiach, Yahweh, Shai. Now they go, oh, they can't teach the chip. We never taught the chip, dummy. All we do is eat potato chips. So this is how these morons are. And you get, Israel all over the country sending messages, yeah, you guys made a contract with the devil and you can't say certain things. You can't speak the truth. That's stupid as hell. That's not what the stipulation of the 501c3 is, you morons. Do some research. That's why white folks call us niggas. Don't look into nothing. They hate to read. So, what's that Edomite on that Christian apologetics thing?
Vocab Malone and James White.
Yeah, he said, I don't have time for these. He wanted to say niggas. He said, I don't have time for these children, kids. He said, they're like kids in a sandbox. I know he wanted to say niggas. Because the same people I'm talking about went on his comment board and started, we wish death upon you in an area. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna do this. So he shut down all the comments. He said, what's wrong with these guys? What is wrong with them, bruh? And some of y'all listen to some of these dumb things. Some of them are dumb. Some are dumber than others. Some are dumber than others. Give me Daniel 4:17. Now, I could go all night talking about these dumb Israelite camps. But I'm not set up here to do that. I'm going to pray that they do repent as you so eloquently prayed about at the beginning of the lesson. Daniel 4:17. Daniel 4:17.
The book of Daniel, chapter 4 and verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones.
The watchers are the angels. Go ahead.
To the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
The Most High rules in the kingdom of men. Read.
And giveth it to whomsoever he will.
The Lord sets up who he wants. Go ahead.
And setteth up over it the basis of men.
Now see that? The Lord sets over the kingdoms the basis. Base, the root of the word basement is base. Like you can't get no lower. Rock bottom. God says he sets up the lowest of men to be leaders over these kingdoms on earth today. So don't look for no nobleman to be set up as a president. No, God says the basest of men is set up. Now, I hate to say this about Obama, but he fits in that. He's base. He has signed every bit of legislation they put on his desk, which was for white society. When Jamaica asked him to repeal the judgment on Marcus Garvey for the 25, remember they said he was arrested for a $25 mail fraud. He said no pardon for him. So his handlers, listen good, his handlers told him, reject Marcus Garvey. You can accept everything else, but no, not Marcus Garvey, not him, not that guy. Give me 2 Corinthians chapter 10. I'm trying to see what else did it. Now, you know what's funny? At the old school, back in the 80s, they all had tax exempt status, 501. So for them to even think and run around today to say you can't call a white man the devil if you have a 501, yeah, that was it. They said you can't say that. I'm like, well, I was at the old school. They had a 501c3. They was called a white man the devil. Okay, so what are you talking about? And that lie has caught fire with dumb black men and women just running. Yeah, you made a contract with the devil. You can't teach right. Y'all are crazy. You can't speak the Lashawan Quadash, brother. You know them Edomites be tearing up that Lashawan Quadash. When them dudes went to Jerusalem, there was a Jake in Jerusalem said, show me evidence how to pronounce that language. You hear crickets. You hear crickets. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. The Lord did not send us here to argue language. He sent us here in this country and the surrounding countries to repent of our sins. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Let me tell you about having if you have a circle of brothers and you are the smartest one in your circle, it's time to move on. Watch this. And Paul talks about that. 2 Corinthians 10.
2 Corinthians 10 and verse 12. For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise.
So imagine one of us says the sky is green, and then Captain Isaac goes, oh brother, you deep. You deep. You deep. They run, con, out of one, con. And then I say, yeah. Give me something stupid to say. You don't need no women. Just to hell with the woman. Yeah, brother, you deep. Con, out of one, Next brother goes, well, we should get 5 women and have these women to work for us. Yeah, con, out of one, The Bible says, if you measure yourself by yourself, you are not wise. Read the whole verse again.
2 Corinthians 10 and verse 12. For we dare not make ourselves of the number.
Don't make yourselves of the number, meaning of the righteous. Like you are the only one God deals with. Go ahead.
Or compare ourselves with some
and don't compare yourselves with some. Go ahead.
That commend themselves.
Don't compare yourself with those that commend themselves. I am the only one the Lord deals with. My group is the only one the Lord Yahweh deals with. Go ahead.
But they measuring themselves by themselves.
They measure themselves in conjunction with one another. He's comparing himself to a local idiot. And that idiot's comparing himself with the next idiot. And everybody going con out of one con. We deep, we smart. We articulate. Go ahead.
and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise.
You're not wise when you do that. You are not wise when you compare yourself, stay in that little circle you're with. You got to shift around, move, see what can I learn from this brother over here? What can I learn from this sister over here? What's going on here? Let me check around. What's going on?
Can I say something, Bishop? The dude ate James White, the Edomite, and vocabulary, know what they call that? There's a word for that they've been using. It's called an echo chamber. All you hear is yourself and your other men. It's called an echo chamber. All right?
Read on.
Verse 13. But we will not boast of things without our measure.
And that's our standpoint. We should not boast of things without our measure, beyond our measure. Go ahead.
But according to the measure of...
It would be foolish for us to say we're the only ones that God deals with. You don't see that in the Bible, where men did that. Okay? There were 7 churches when you read Revelation chapter 1, 2, and 3. And the Lord was dealing with all 7. Even the ones that was way the hell off. He said, I'm still dealing with them. They stupid as hell, got women leading. Like that one, the church of Thyatira had women leading. He said, I'm going to give them a chance to repent. They're going to get it right, Lord's will. Get yourself together. He was still dealing with them to some extent. Read on.
But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which God hath distributed to us.
The rule that God distributed to us is his laws. Measure yourself by his laws. And the things he says, the statutes on how to apply his laws to your life. That's how you measure yourself. Go ahead.
A measure to reach even unto you. For we stretch not ourselves beyond our measure.
Don't stretch yourself beyond your measure. I'm the smartest one in the room. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
As though we reached not unto you. For we are come as far as to you also in preaching the gospel of Christ.
So Paul went up above and beyond to teach the gospel to our people in Corinth. Go ahead.
Not boasting of things without our measure.
Not boasting of things beyond our measure. We are forbidden to do that. Go ahead.
That is, of other men's labors. But having hope, when your faith is increased, that we shall be enlarged by you according to our rule abundantly.
So Paul said, I'm increased when he sees the congregation of Corinth increase. So that's when we visit the various camps of Israel. We look to see the brothers who are studying. The brothers who are studying, the brothers who are faithful. Because then we can say, okay, we're doing okay here, we're doing all right in this school. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see what the status or the level of faith is these men. Go ahead.
To preach the gospel in the regions beyond you, and not to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand.
Read that again.
To preach the gospel in the regions beyond you.
So us as servants of the Lord, our job is to preach the gospel in regions beyond you. That's why we visit Jamaica. That's why we visit Tobago. That's why we visit Trinidad. That's why we visit Ghana. Our job is to get the gospel out as far as it can go. And this was another dumb Israelite, because when I said there's no internet in Ghana, they did 8 videos on that. Let me explain when I said there's no internet in Ghana. We went to an area that was somewhat wealthy, the hotel we stayed at. So those wealthy Ghanaians had money. There was internet there. But when we went to the areas where the rule of our people was, there was no internet. Where we set up to teach, was there internet? No, there was not. That's what I'm making reference to. And these dumb bunny Israelites with dust that comes out of their hair and beards, they knew what I was talking about.
He understood that, but he was in his echo chamber with his other dummies. So he knew that if he uttered that, they would believe him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's it. Read that again.
Verse 16. To preach the gospel in the regions beyond you, and not to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand. But he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. For not he that commandeth himself is approved.
Wait, read that again.
But he that glorieth.
Verse 18.
Verse 18. For not he that commendeth himself is approved.
You're not approved if you commend yourself. Go ahead.
But whom the Lord commendeth.
The Lord is the one that commends us. That's when we are approved, when he commends us. That's when you're commended, when men can see your good works. Now, if you give a great speech, okay, from there, give me 2 Corinthians chapter 11, next chapter, and let's start at verse 9.
2 Corinthians 11 and verse 9. And when I was present with you and wanted.
The word wanted there means lacked. When I was present with you and lacked.
I was chargeable to no man.
I was chargeable to none of you Corinthians. I didn't ask you for nothing. That's what he said.
For that which was lacking to me, the brethren which came from Macedonia supplied.
So he says the brothers, the Israelite brothers in Macedonia helped me when you Corinthians would not help me. When you read the New Testament, the letters of Paul, he always had problems with the Corinthians. This was a hard-headed congregation of Israel. Go ahead.
And in all things I have kept myself from being burdensome unto you, and so will I keep myself.
So Paul said, you Corinthians, I didn't burden myself with you. The brothers from Macedonia, they helped me out when I lacked stuff. I'm not going to be chargeable to none of you brothers here in Corinth, because the Corinthians were always complaining about Paul. Go ahead.
As the truth of Christ is in me, no man shall stop me of this boasting in the regions of Achaia.
Achaia is the word for Greece. Go ahead.
Wherefore? Because I love you not, God knoweth. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion.
You had many Corinthians desire the occasion to be apostles. That's what he's talking about. As you read down, he's going to make it clear. It says, but what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, meaning desire occasion to be the leaders. Watch this. He's going to explain it clear.
That wherein they glory, they may be found even as we.
So if they glory in being the leaders, they have to glory and be found even as we. Meaning this, let me explain. As we read down, he's going to explain. He's talking about being an apostle. Well, read the next verse so we can see it. We'll go back.
For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ.
So that's what he's talking about. Wicked Israelites in Corinth trying to set themselves up as apostles. Now go back to verse 12 one more again.
But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion.
I'll give you an example. Look, read on.
That wherein they glory.
Wherein they glory as apostles.
They may be found even as we.
I'm going to give you an example now. It is united in Christ according to the New Testament. We teach one wife, right or wrong? One wife?
Right.
Okay. We teach love your neighbor as you love yourself. Is that right?
Right.
You have other camps who establish themselves as being apostles and captains and generals, and we are so great. But then the people start to go, well, wait a minute. You say you're men of God, so why do you have multiple wives when the New Testament under Christ says one? Why don't you have love of your brothers like the Bible says you ought to have, and you're making false accusations? Why does your women go out and work and you stay home and scratch? So read verse 12 again.
But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory, they may be found even as we.
What's going to happen is they're going to have to be found even as we. Because as we apply the commandments of God, as stipulated under Christ, everyone that's in Israel is going to have to bow to that tune. Okay? You're not going to read what Christ said, have one, and then you go, well, but Moses said, over here. No, you're not going to do that. Okay? And the Most High is going to make sure that the proper teaching is established in this earth. Read on.
For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ.
A woman comes in with her own business. Brother goes, she calls us and says, oh, I got my own business. So all praise to the Most High. Says all praises. So she goes, well, do y'all want to take over my business? Why would we want to take over your business? You went to school for that? You set it up? She goes, yeah. Why would we take over your business? She said, well, this group over here took my business over and ruined it. Now I'm almost homeless. Well, sister, there's nothing we can do for you. We've taught properly. You didn't want to hear us. You heard us. Evidently, you saw a thug lover brother on my team over there. So you went over there. Now your life is ruined. We can't pick up the pieces. What you want us to do? Okay. I remember the Deacon Asaph said, I told you the right thing from the beginning. You ran over there. Now your life is in shambles. She's in a shelter now. This sister was making hundreds of thousands of dollars in her own business. Brother made her change all the legal paperwork, put his name on it, and said, I'm a man. It's supposed to be in my name. I'm supposed to run it. He had no training or skill to run the operation. She went to school for that. She studied that. He didn't. The whole thing went. True stories. Well, we tell y'all here true stories. Go ahead, Lala.
You know, Bishop, after a while, these brothers, you're gonna hear it in their own mouth. Paul was bugged out. Peter was bugged out. You're gonna hear it from their mouth. You're gonna tell you Paul was out of the spirit because they could not deny what's written. For them to deny it, to say Paul didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Paul was just giving his opinions. You understand, because the people start waking up, asking them questions. Okay, and according to this scripture, why you covering your head? According to this scripture, that said if a man desires to be a leader, you got to have one wife. You understand? And he have to be blameless. You have to be fine blameless, not like a liar. So even though they're trying to talk as negative, they're trying to talk about us. They still have to come in our range. You understand, in the spirit of Christ. No matter how bad they talk about, they still have to reach the measure. Yeah, talk all you want, but we keep in the measure because that's what Christ given us.
Exactly. You still got to measure yourself by what this book is saying. Go ahead.
For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ.
Transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. Go ahead.
And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
So he's saying, operating just like the devil. The same way that Satan transformed himself to Eve, and it's letting you know, when Satan came to Eve, he did not come as a snake. Like you see on TV, that's no. It said, no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. He came to greet Eve looking glorious. Okay? So Eve was listening to him. Oh, wow. Big Daddy Almighty. Meanwhile, her husband's over there.
And that's what's going on in a lot of these Israelite camps outside. The so-called elders or captains, whatever you want to call them, they are transformed into that light for the people within their own camp. All right? That's why you can go into the scripture that you just pulled, Deacon, and say that one wife means the body or the children or the books. And then you have another Romans 13 that's not talking about the law. That's talking about paying taxes to the Pharisees or scribes. Madness. All because of what? One word, sin.
Exactly. Remind us to go back to that Romans 13. Read on.
Verse 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness.
Right. So Satan's ministers transform themselves as ministers of righteousness. They will have fringes bought of blue, but you'll notice they will begin to pervert the words of God, destroy homes, family, and things of that nature. Read on.
Whose end shall be according to their works.
Whose end shall be according to their works. Go ahead.
Verse 16. I say again, let no man think me a fool, if otherwise, yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast myself a little. That which I speak it not after the Lord, but as it were foolishly, in this confidence of boasting, seeing that many glory after the flesh, I will glory also.
Right, so Paul was glorying, just to shut the Corinthians down, because that, as I said earlier, that congregation was getting on his nerves. Real quick, give me that Romans 13 that you talked about. All right, what is this? Yeah.
Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
Resisteth the ordinance of God. Real quick. Give me 1 Peter's chapter 2. Bear with me a second.
13?
Yes. Is that it? Wait, let me look at it first. Yep. This is a precept to explain what Romans 13 is talking about. Let's see if it's talking about paying tribute and taxes to the scribes and Pharisees.
1 Peter 2:13. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme.
Whether it be to the king as supreme. Israelites, we didn't have no kings of Israel during the time of Peter. Go ahead.
Or unto governors.
Remember, you had the governors, you had Pontius Pilate, you had Herod. These were the governors at that time. It was not Peter, was not a governor. Nicodemus was not a king or a governor. The king at that time, you had Caesar. Go ahead.
As unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well.
Now we're going to see those same writings in Romans 13. Let's go back to Romans 13.
Romans 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers.
Now to be subject means abide in the laws as long as they do not contradict the laws of God. Let me see who's thinking. Who can give me some examples of men that made themselves subject to the powers that be? But when those powers that be wanted us to go against God's law, there was a problem. I'll just word it like that. Where can we read about stuff like that? Yes, the pen in his hand.
That would be in the book of Daniel.
Give me an example.
When he wanted, I believe it was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to bend down to the idol.
Correct. Very good. That's a good example. Very good. Give me another one. Somebody. Yes, right up here in the front.
Mother and her 7 sons.
What happened?
They were in captivity, and the powers that be wanted them to eat up the pig,
right?
And they refused.
Exactly. Very good. There are many examples you read in the Old Testament, where our forefathers were subject to the higher powers until those higher powers tried to force them to break God's laws. That's our standpoint. That's the standpoint of our forefathers, Old and New Testament. We're in captivity. We're going to abide by your laws as long as you're not forcing us to break God's laws. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
So I hear some dumb Israelites out there. Read on.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God.
We read that today in Daniel 4, that he said, God sets up, ordains the basis of men. Right?
Whosoever therefore resisted the power, resisted the ordinance of God.
If you resist the powers that be, it says you resist the ordinance of God.
And
I want all y'all to understand that. I'm going to tell you a story. Bear with me. I'm going to give you a true story. I just can't find the scripture. Go back to Corinthians. Hold that, Isaac. I want you to go back to, where were we at in Corinthians? Let's go, Paul. 2 Corinthians. Okay. There was chapter 11 we was in? Okay, bear with me a second. There's a verse in here. Oh, here it goes. 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 8.
2 Corinthians 11 and verse 8. I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service.
Who can explain that? And once you explain, I'm going to tell you how it used to be taught. Who can explain that verse? I robbed other churches that I may do you service. I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service. What does that mean? Yes. No. In the back. Yeah.
Sure. Meaning that he took alms from other churches to help churches in Corinth.
Very good. That's what it means. Now let me tell you the interpretation of old school. Old school taught us with that verse. Read it again.
I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service.
Old school Israel, some of them are still around today, teaching big voices, taught us to go in and rob, literally rob churches. Take the money out and bring it to leadership. Y'all laughing. I've been through so much I've known. That's why when I hear some of them, my skin crawls, the hair in the back of my neck, I ain't got none, but it would stand up if I had it. Oh, God, skin. I just really try to keep those stories to myself sometimes, but I can't hold it in sometimes. It's too wicked. They're still around with the same stupidity, getting men locked up. Read it again.
I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service.
So like the brother explained, Paul was taking wages of churches to help those churches throughout Corinth. That's all that means. So, go back to Romans 13. Now the reason I went there is because of the verse you read in Romans 13.
Romans 13, verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
See that? If you resist the powers that are set up in the government, you resist the ordinance of God. So, we are not commanded to go around and steal. Are we, brothers? No. The law says thou shalt not steal. You know, I'm going to tell you another old school breakdown. The law that says thou shalt not commit adultery, that only applies for Israelites. If it's a white woman and she's married, you can have sex with her. The law only applies for Israelites. It doesn't apply for the other nations. This is where I came from. The madness. Now,
but Bishop, if that's the case, Joseph would have been justified then.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But you know, when you're in your early 20s, you're like, yeah, you know, you hate society, you hate yourself, you hate everybody. So you hear this crazy stuff, you're like, yeah. No. Read that again.
Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
So now one of the schools, one of the brothers got locked up. I ain't gonna call his name or the school. He got locked up for stealing. And the leader of the group, Israelite group, said, if you was in the spirit, the cameras would not have picked you up on film, brother. What? Y'all keep playing with some of these Israelites out there. They're gonna destroy your lives. Okay?
Oh, man.
Where we at? Read that again.
Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
Y'all see that? And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. That is why, give me that scripture in Baruch, we'll get this day. 3 and 8? Thank you. Give me that. Give me that. This is why Baruch said this. This is why our forefathers, Mordecai, Esther, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, this is why they abided under the laws of Babylon, of Persia, Media. This is why Joseph abided under the laws of ancient Egypt. He said, if they knew, if you resist, you shall receive to yourselves damnation. Okay? But until those countries and or governments made up and established laws to go against the Most High, that's when we got into a problem with them. Read that.
Baruch chapter 3 verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject.
And to be what?
Subject to payments.
Y'all see that? And to be subject to payments. Let me give you another story. The Moors, or the Moors is another group called the Washatugi, something like that. Wash is a group of blacks that say they're sovereign. Washunga, something. Anyway, the point is this. They said the group of them came and visited us at House of David when I was there, and was saying that we're sovereign people. We don't have to pay taxes. I said, what? We ain't gonna pay no taxes, huh? Bang, gone. It is good, brother. So all the brothers going, yeah, con. I was that idiot too. Con. So then I said, I remember a scripture popped into my head about obey the powers that be. So I said to the brother, and the brother's still on YouTube today, teaching, running his mouth. I said, brother, what about obey the powers that be? Doesn't the law say we gotta pay taxes? He said, bro, think about it. Well, he said, wasn't Paul born free? He showed me the scripture in Acts of Paul and said I was freeborn. I said, yeah. He said, so Paul was a Roman citizen. He didn't have to do this thing. So we don't have to pay taxes either. I said, okay. Thank you, brother. All praises. Come. Get home, telling my wife. She says, you gonna get us in trouble. I said, no, baby, just listen. We gotta pay no tax. She said, you gonna get us locked up? I said, no, just listen, woman. I know what I'm saying. So I went to the job. The dude typed up a letter. We are sovereign citizens. We do not have to pay taxes. He delivers it to my job. My job, hey, what is this? I said, yeah, we don't have to pay no taxes. He says, okay. And the guy was an attorney. He had his, what is it called? He passed the bar exam. I'll word that way. Passed the bar exam. So anyway, they didn't take taxes out of my money. I was happy. My check was fat. I was like, whoa. Come on, baby, I'm gonna take you somewhere. My wife's going, okay, let's go. Yeah, go here, go there. So then the letter comes in. Letter from IRS. Dear nigga, for the fraudulent letter stating that you're sovereign, you have been what's the word when they
subpoenaed, indicted.
No, when they hit you with more money, a penalty. You've been hit with a penalty of $500 for fraudulent letters. I was like, what? What the hell? So I called the dude up. Hey, yo, dude. He says, come down to my office. It was in Brooklyn. Go down to the office. He said, it was a few of us from the HUDC. We all there. I said, look, we all got this thing. He said, don't worry about it. You're sovereign. I said, you sure? He said, I'm sure. He said, see all the stuff I got? I don't pay no taxes on this stuff. So yes, okay. He writes another letter. 2 weeks later, another letter in the mail. Dear nigga. Again, for the second time, you're being penalized for an additional $500. This went on for several months. And my wife was my wife was great. I told you it's gonna happen. So what happened was they shut down my bank account. You know, they freeze your account. Couldn't get no money. They froze her bank account down. She said, what the hell? Well, now we had no money. That was desperation. By the end of the whole thing, I owed like 20 grand. 20 grand, man. Now this is years. I'm telling you something back in the 90s. Thank the Lord. So I know she cursed me to death. So we had the money I was making. I had to take taxes out and pay every week to get this thing, that judgment down. And it took many, many, many years.
But Bishop, don't forget the scripture. Christ said, Peter, go pay the taxes. Don't forget that scripture.
Exactly. But you know when you got a covetous spirit and you got covetous men in your circle. That's right. So that's why, brothers and sisters, you have no idea that y'all could have been in any other camp. Y'all would have stories years from now. You either would curse Israel, hate Israel, or you'd be sitting up here talking about, let me tell you the dumb things I did at that school. So y'all have more stories like I got. So where we at, Captain Isaac?
Romans chapter 13 and verse 3. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil.
The good works is abiding in God's law. The good works is remember, the state's penal law system is, they call it the judicial law, meaning laws pertaining to Judah. That's what the root of judicial is, Judah. So many of the laws, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, all of that. Many of them laws have statutes and sub-statutes based upon the laws you read about in Leviticus. Esau didn't just make these laws up that they got. They referenced it with the Bible and made sub-statutes to all these laws. Okay? Like murder, thou shalt not kill. You have manslaughter, you have attempted murder, you got, what's some other words? Premeditated murder, you got reckless endangerment, things of that nature. They all sub-statutes to God's laws. Okay? We don't.
For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same.
Right. So now, I think it was you I was talking with. I forgot. It might have been Isaac. I forgot. Where if they made an executive order forbidding, because they're trying to say that Israelite groups are the SPL, Southern Poverty Law Center, is trying to categorize us as a black supremacist group. And we're not black supremacists. We got Puerto Ricans, we got Cubans, we got Mexicans. I'm like, what are the black stuff coming from? So, but that's what they're trying to label us and try to categorize us with the Kemetic community. Because what they did is, the first dude that did allegedly, Micah Xavier Johns, they said he was a RBGN, red, black, and green Hebrew, which was not true. He was in a Kemetic, he wasn't Hebrew, no Israelite, nothing. But they threw it in there, and that's to get on the minds of the people. Hebrew, oh, he was a murderer, he's a Hebrew. Just like, remember that movie where that guy, Peter Moses, killed that little baby? Yeah. And he was affiliated with that bum group on 34th Street. What did they do when you look at the video? They got me in the beginning of this video. And I had no connection with this guy. We trying to get lawyers, what the hell is this? Okay, but this is what they're trying to create an atmosphere and have the right teachers demonized. Okay, that's what they're doing. Make you aware of it. Read it again.
For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain.
He beareth not the sword in vain. Give me that precept in Psalms 17.
13.
13. Thank you. Psalms 17, 13. He beareth not the sword in vain.
Psalm 17 verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword.
See, the wicked is God's sword. The wicked is God's sword. Esau is God's sword. Real quick, go back to Baruch. There was something I wanted to say about that, just popped in my head. Baruch 3 and 8.
Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
Where thou hast scattered us.
Where thou hast scattered us.
For a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers.
That's the part I wanted. According to all the iniquities of our fathers. The reason we are subject to payments in the land of captivity is according to all the iniquities of our fathers. We didn't remember, as Israelites, we were supposed to pay 10% to who? No, as Israelites, we would pay 10% tithes to who? To the Levites. We didn't want to do that. Here in captivity now, we're subject to payment. We got to pay tribute to Caesar now. It's all a correlation. The same thing we have to do with Esau, we at one time had to do amongst our own people. We didn't want to abide in that though. God said, you don't want to support the Levitical priests and giving them 10%? I'm going to make you pay offerings to your tributes to your enemies. Now we in captivity, we got to pay tax upon tax upon tax. Lord said, that's why I read that bottom precept again, according
to all the iniquities of our fathers.
We set up monies to take care of orphans, like when you read in Tobit. It said he gave an X amount to the orphans of Israel. We stopped doing that. We didn't want to do that. We were supposed to always take care, give an inheritance to our children, even if the child was from the woman. Give me that in Exodus about, if you have two, I think it says 2 wives, one beloved and one hated. I'm going to show you brothers something. This is for you divorced brothers.
Deuteronomy 21:15. If a man have 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated.
So if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, meaning you can't stand this woman's guts no more, but she had the firstborn son. Go ahead.
Then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn.
So God set up this law that regardless of how you feel about that first one who you can't stand no more, her son is still the firstborn. You must give the inheritance to that child. So today, I'll go back there. We refuse to obey that law. I'm not taking care of this kid. I can't stand her. I can't stand the baby. That's her baby. So the Lord said, okay, you don't want to do what I say. What did God set up now? Child support. Shazam! Ow! Oh, shh! I can't stand child support. The Lord said, if you had just obeyed the laws that I gave you in your own land, now you got your enemy, the wicked, saying, you must do it. And you run, suspend his license. He'll pop in a system, suspend his driver's license, and boom, nigger. Let me see the driver's registration license. Check it. Oh, shoot. His license is suspended. Child support. Sorry, nigga, you gotta go to court. I'm going to work. My wife is down there. Sorry, nigger. This is what happens. Now, the bottom of Baruch, one more time, according
to all the iniquities of our fathers.
See that? According to all the iniquities of our fathers. So you got to examine the things that we didn't want to do in our own land. The Most High is making sure we abide in those things here in the land of our enemies. And believe it or not, most camps cannot understand that correlation. Like, huh? Wow. You brothers are light years ahead of them. I don't care how bad or bold they speak. They don't know what you brothers know. Okay. From there, let's go back now. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 10. What time is it? Yes. Oh, yeah, go back. Go ahead. Where we at?
Romans 13, verse 5 and 6. Wherefore, ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers.
See that? Pay ye tribute also. Pay ye tribute also. Now, in case somebody gets stupid, give me the precept. It might be Matthew 17, when it said, "Doth your master pay tribute?"
Matthew 17, verse 24.
All right.
And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, doth not your master pay tribute?
Doesn't your master pay tribute? Doesn't Christ, your master pay tribute money, taxes? Go ahead.
He saith, yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute?
Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute, meaning taxes? Go ahead.
Of their own children or of strangers?
Does Rome take tribute or taxes of their own children or strangers, strange nations? Go ahead.
Peter saith unto him, of strangers. Jesus saith unto him, then are the children free.
Meaning, when the Israelites collect taxes, then you will know you're free. Because right now we have to pay taxes. We're not free. When you read during the time of David and Solomon, nations paid us tribute. They paid us taxes. When you read Isaiah 60, real quick, give me that. Isaiah 60 about the Lord will call our tax collectors righteous. Freedom, true freedom and liberty is when nations pay you tax. See, we don't know nothing about that. I'm free. No, you're not free. Isaiah 60. Huh?
He can eat some McDonald's.
Yeah, you think because you got the freedom to walk across the street and buy McDonald's, you're free? No. It says bear with me a second. Yeah, it says your exactors shall be called righteous.
Isaiah 60 and verse 17.
Right.
For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness.
Exactors mean tax collectors. Read the verse above it.
Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breasts of kings. And thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am the Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron.
These are the elements that the nations, the resources they're going to bring to us.
I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness.
So just like the nations set up tax collectors, you had to go to these nations and get the money, Israel's going to do the same thing in righteousness. And if they don't, if they are short in what they had to give,
death to them.
Death to them. Shame, shame, shame. And it says the same thing in the New Testament. Give me the one in Revelation where it says that gate shall be open continually, and that men may bring in the The wealth of the Gentiles. Start at 24.
24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie.
Y'all see that? Go ahead.
But they which are written in the Lamb's book of life,
which is Israel. So they're going to bring their wealth and honor into it. So that means Israel, we're going to go collect it and bring it to the Lord. That's what's going to happen. So let's go back now.
Romans 13 verse 6. For this cause pay tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
That's why Christ paid the tribute money. Peter paid tribute money. So if I'd only known this when I was a younger man, I wouldn't have been in so much trouble. But now, all praise to the Most High, what I've learned through affliction and oppression, I can share with you brothers. So you don't Google on the YouTube and go, oh look, we're sovereign. We don't have to pay taxes. You've already gotten the lesson now. Go ahead.
Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear.
You know, like a custom, when you go to court, they say, what do they say? Oh, when the judge comes in, you got to stand up and take your hat off. Or don't make noise when the judge is speaking. Here you got Negro. He goes to court. His man gets sentenced, I think, was it 3 years, something like that, for drug trafficking. His man goes, he yawns. All out, the judge said, 6 months in jail for you. He's like, no. He drags his black behind out. 6 months for opening his mouth, yawning, trying to be cute in court. Or another one, they want to take his hat off. Simple as hell. Yes.
Verse 6 is the verse that these brothers will pervert. All right, we just went over the scriptures precept upon precept, because that's how the Most High commands us to study this Bible, precept upon precept. But these brothers take, where you see where it says God's ministers, that's what they're taking and saying that no, the powers that be is talking about the Pharisees and scribes and so forth. Why? Because they're not using precept upon precept, and it's to push their agenda. Whatever sin that they have in them that they want to fulfill, they pervert these scriptures by using the strong G 7,000 instead of precept upon precept to understand the Bible.
Exactly. So now, what time is it? Let me see. Okay, we're almost done. I see it's getting late. Give me wisdom of Solomon. We discussed this last night. No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna change the topic real quick. Forget wisdom of Solomon. It's getting late. It's 8:43. I just want to talk about brothers just for a second. Give me Sirach 33:27. You brother, how many brothers in here? How many of you married? Let me see. Raise your hand. How many of you married? Type very little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 brothers are married. 2 more. Okay. 12 brothers are married. Okay. Well, alrighty then. Sirach 33:27. Read that.
Sirach 33:27.
This goes for you brothers whose wives sit around at home and do nothing, and for you brothers, single brothers, who sit around and you yourself do nothing. Listen to it.
Send him to labor, that he be not idle. For idleness teacheth much evil.
Idleness teaches much evil. We have had brothers and sisters whose sisters sit around at home and they do nothing. The Bible says idleness teaches much evil. You're sitting around watching Days of Our Lives, or General Hospital, or Atlanta Housewives, or Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop. Ooh, yeah. That's funny, girl. She on the phone talking. Yeah, you saw that girl. That was funny. Now, many of these things will teach evil lessons. Now, watch this. Give me Matthew 5. Give me Matthew 5:27. That's for you brothers, you single brothers. Now, this could pertain to married brothers too, but mainly, I know a lot of times, I'll say 70% may rest upon single men and 30% upon married men, but it might not be that low.
Matthew 5:27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
We all know that law, right? We heard that law, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know?
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So, one of you single brothers, raise your hand, explain that to me. Single brothers. Oh, you, the pencil, yeah.
He's a kid.
How old are you?
15.
Okay, 15.
It's like
Wait. Go ahead.
it's like when you look at another woman and you begin to lust after her, begin to want her only for appearances and sexual desires.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Where do you see women that someone would generally lust after? Where do you see them? Where do you see? Let's talk about you. Where do you see them? You never seen good-looking women?
I have.
Okay, where?
In the truth, here, out on the streets.
Where else? You ever watch
TV?
videos? You ever watch videos, young man?
Videos?
Videos. You might be kind of young, so.
School. Ain't no MTV in my house, Bishop.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Okay, you have a seat, young man. Well, that's good. Hey, wait a minute. You got a cell phone?
Not anymore.
Oh, no, not anymore. Oh, okay. Because I know this, you can reach out across the world with this thing. Smartphone. Look how it bounces.com. Here come Daddy. Yeah, I was just calling him on board Dad. Yeah. So, read that verse again.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her.
We often, more times than less, not so much on the street, when you're in the privacy of your own home looking at pornography, porno, that's where a lot of it. You may start off innocent, not even innocent. What's some videos? Video vixens. You see the rappers. One of these rappers had a whole, was it Nas did a whole thing with all light-skinned sisters on it, and dark sisters got mad.
Oh yeah, Nelly.
Nelly?
Yeah, Nelly.
One of them guys, I don't even know who they are, but half naked, jumping up and down, putting on a glass, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. And sometimes it's not enough. You want to go a step further than that. You got all of a little aroused, so you want to go to the next step, porn. That's what you do. Bam! So read that verse again, verse 28.
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Right, it often begins there on the internet. Give me 1 Corinthians 7:2. Well, I see the majority of the brothers in here are single. Only 12 brothers married out of all the sea of men. Only 12 are married. Wow. Be a lot of... Right.
1 Corinthians 7 verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication.
I want you men to hear this. To avoid fornication. Fornication, write this down, means sexual sins. To avoid sexual sins.
Let every man have his own wife.
Let every man have his own wife. Did it say girlfriend?
No. Let every man have his own wife.
The Bible don't talk about girlfriends. I only talk about wife. Go ahead.
And let every...
And notice, it's singular. Let every man have his own wife. Not wives. Plural. Wife. Go ahead.
And let every woman...
Now come for the sisters.
Have her own husband.
Have her own husband. I got a story to tell y'all. Brother from New York. I forgot his name. I'd like to blow his spot up. He comes down. Was you there?
Yeah.
This little child is calling his brother Daddy. So, I think it was your brother, Deacon Malachi, says, is this your daddy? He goes, little boy goes, yeah. He says to his brother, is that your son? Because you been in New York. He said, he just calls me Daddy. So he said, he just calls you Daddy. Where's the mother of the baby? So the mother, her simple self. Oh yes, yeah, you know, we're thinking about getting together. So Malachi takes the brother. He said, how long you knew the sister? He said, I knew for about a couple of years. We've been talking for years, and now we decided to meet somebody. Like I now goes to the sister. How long you been talking? She says 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? You've been talking to this dude 2 weeks? How you been talking to him? Through Facebook. And you got your son calling him daddy. You're a stupid woman. You stupid as hell. You can't get no more stupid than that. Let me tell you women something. I gotta tell you something. Let me tell you, I'm not saying that this brother's a pervert. I'm not saying that. But I am saying women love men that have a good relationship with their child. You ever see with these women? Oh yeah, he gets along with my baby. Let me tell you another story. Pedophiles. Pedophile, now you can Google this on the Huffington Post. He did a search of women with single parent women. A lot of times when I say that's just white folks, they ain't just white folks. Black people be doing this too. Puerto Ricans too. I want to meet your children. How many sons you got? I got 2. They're aged 6 and 7. Oh, I just love kids. I love them, love them, love them, love them to death. Builds a great relationship with them. Woman comes home. One day, he's banging the boy in the bed. You have to monitor. That's what's don't let every spirit up in your house. You're so desperate. I just need a man. You need a man, but he want that baby. He don't want you. Is you just the, what's the word? The smoke screen. You the facade of what he wants. Read that again for me.
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetite.
So brothers, go not after your lust. And brothers, everybody got a lust. I'm gonna tell you that straight, men and the women. We'll get on another sister. She gonna call me up and. Is it okay if I play with myself? Sister, why are you calling me, asking me that? There are older women in the school. Talk to these women about your problems. I don't want to hear if you touch yourself. The hell is this? Read it again.
Go not after thy lust.
And you brothers that say you want to counsel some of these women. No. Stay far away from some of them.
That's right.
When you hear a woman tell you, I like to play with myself. Why is she telling you that? Yeah, that's contingency to get you home. Really? Wow. Show me.
Yeah, but Bishop, you notice that man don't have no wife. He want to counsel with single sister.
Right.
He call himself a counselor.
Exactly. Be mindful. And you brothers that are married, you want to counsel. Up to sometimes you don't know what's in some of these people's minds. What's going on? Can you read that again for me?
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetite.
Refrain yourself. It says that because everybody in here got something they battling with. Some lust, men and women. There's something in us. Okay? Now, you may hide it very well, but you have to, as you come in the truth, you gotta, what's the word used in Colossians? Mortify. You know, mortify means to dead that spirit, okay? That's for you homo brothers too. Oh, you thought I didn't know some of you up in here? I know you up in here. It's all right. Let's get it together. Read it again.
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites.
This brother, I'm going to tell a story, but I ain't going to say no names. This brother, this is the one they tried to get me on. This brother, I get a call. I don't know if you called me, but some brothers called me and said, brother so-and-so is trying to pick up men on the internet. I said, what? Brother so-and-so is trying to pick up men on the internet. I said, stop. I said, what evidence do you have that brother so? I said, before I stepped to him, I said, you don't accuse somebody of something like that. What is your proof? Because I don't want to look like a a-hole. I'm going to say something to the man. He goes, what the hell are you talking about? Now we got a big council. He says, so the brother, I don't know if it was somebody, sent me the photos of, what was it, Craigslist? Craigslist. All kind of ads. Craigslist. I said, what the hell? He got his face, he got his genitals, he got everything on there. What the hell? So now I called, I said, yo, I said, did I speak to you about it? Yeah, with the judge,
could have called you.
All the deacons I spoke with. So listen, this brother so-and-so is doing such and such. And what is the proof? When you make a judgment on somebody, if there's no witness, you need evidence. So the evidence was presented. He's on Craigslist picking up men, blah, 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 blah. So we have a talk with the brother. He's resistant, he's lying. So then we pull out the evidence. Is this you? So now the lies have to stop because there's your face. There's your body. Let me tell you, people lie. That's why Christ said you need 2 or 3 witnesses because people lie. And if there's no witnesses, you need some other kind of evidence. So the brother admits, he said, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. So we put him up for a while. I forgot how long. A couple of months. So now he's on his way back. Was he good? You good? You coming back? All praise to the Most High. He comes back. Now, we have security check. In the bag. Security, you check the bags. You might have a gun in there. So the brother says, what is this? He pulls it out, and it is anal beads. So we go, what the hell? He goes, oh, wait, that's a mistake. I used to use that on my girlfriend. So the brother said, no, you didn't. Take your nasty behind. Go home and you come back 2 months from now when you're ready, because you ain't ready. Oh, what else was in there?
No, it wasn't there, but it was anal beads and a vibrator.
And a vibrator. Right, that was it. So we throw him out again until he gets sight. Now, Christ said all manner of sin can be forgiven with men. So our job is not to humiliate. I didn't mention no names because the brother finally got himself together. Lord's will. Give me that 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Let me tell you something. Brothers can do videos on us and say we hoard lesbians or homosexuals. No. Read that for me.
1 Corinthians 6 verse 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate.
That's girly boys. You brothers with girlish mannerisms. Go ahead.
Nor abusers of themselves with mankind.
That's the homosexual brothers.
Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God.
Now here's the point right here.
And such were some of you.
That's the point of us here at IUIC. Our job is not to condemn brothers or sisters based on their sin, but to try to help them. If they don't want help, yes, we'll put them out. It's up to them to say, listen, I want to come back and get my life right. All right, come on back. We're never going to say, no, come back and get your life right.
Attention. America is on the brink of destruction. America, according to the Holy Bible, is called Babylon the Great. America has spent billions of dollars to keep something secret from you. But I'm here to let you know, to all you black men and Latino men, you're not blacks and you're not Latinos. You make up the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, conquered and destroyed between 1492 and 1620, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, according to the King James Holy Bible 1611. Conquered, destroyed, renamed, reclassified. According to 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 40 to 45, you are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are your forefathers. Those are your ancestors. Wake up. Christianity has conquered and destroyed our people, brainwashed us, set up and based upon lies. The deliverer is Jesus the Christ, the Black Messiah. Revelation chapter 1, verse 14.